Welcome back. We're with the diff build, but this is the look on the inside of it. You have this rubber seal here that goes on the lay shaft. Keep it clean. Try not to get any WD-40 on it, because WD-40 it will swell up. Takes a 2.5 millimeter to get these bleed out screws out. There also is another purpose for this, but I'm going to show you the internal of this. Coming from the factory, they don't do a good job of putting enough diff fluid in it. Now these screws have a little rubber washer with the diff fluid that we're going to put back in it. These rubber washers are really not necessary, but if you're running a lighter diff fluid, yeah, it could seep out. Pull this apart, see what's in here. I mean, it's like they use sealant to seal it together instead of the O-ring. They put an O-ring in here, but they also added some type of sealant. On the King motors, they have a set screw in here that you have to unscrew to get this out. But what you'll do is this pin, you'll line it up with the exit of this, what I call the bleed out. Got it now. Once you remove the pin, that'll allow you to pull this cup out. Now, couple other parts. We got this spacer or shim that goes in here. Get it out. You have little ball bearings in here. You want to be real careful with these ball bearings. Some people use the brass bushings, but most people keep the bearings in it. Now the tool I'm going to show you here is a valve spring compressor. Blue Groove Motorsports on YouTube, he also has a Facebook group page, shared a tip with us a while back on how to pull these bearings off of here. Now what he had showed us was a called a battery terminal remover. It made like a little press, but however, I couldn't find it when I went into the parts store. I found this valve spring compressor, and I ground the edges of it to make a sharp point. And then I took just a 5/16 nut and bolt, and you can put this on here and hook it and line it up, tighten it up. Gotta be careful because you don't want to mess that little bearing up that we was talking about. And you can use this sucker to pull this bearing off. There we go. Easy. This is a really great tool to put in your arsenal. And like I said, you got to be careful. You don't want to mess these little bearings up in here. So that's what this washer is for. It sits on top of the aluminum diff cup. But again, thanks Blue Groove for sharing this, and I hope you guys, again, just any auto parts place, just valve spring compressor. Remove this part off of it, get you a 5/16 nut and a washer, and you're good to go. And we're going to see if it'll work to pull this little bearing off. I don't see why it wouldn't. Easy. Okay, once you have your diff all tore apart, it's time to clean it up. This diff cup right here, the fluid that's in it, all I would do is just set this to the side and let it continue to drain out. I don't want to put this in the ultrasonic cleaner or any parts cleaner on it. I don't want to take a chance on tearing up these bearings. My ultrasonic cleaner, I use mineral spirits in it. It works really well. Pretty sure if you look at the owner's manual of it, it tell you don't do it, use this chemical, but I find that works real well for me. But get everything clean. But like I said, just set these to the side, let them drain, get as much of the old diff fluid off of it as you can, especially on these gears. You want to get this stuff they put on here they call grease. I don't know what it is, but I don't even know if it's got any tackiness to it at all. Very little, very little. Definitely you want to get that crud off of there and go back with some good grease. Alright, well, we're ready to start putting this diff back together. Our bearings are done. And don't make the mistake I've made several times. You need to go ahead and put these bearings back on and push them in evenly to where they don't get cocked on there sideways. And if you have to, if you got a little small arbor press, you can use it to press it in but you make sure that you start with it square. And that one I'm getting a little sideways with it, so these bearings are not the best bearings in the world. Even the fast eddies, if you're not careful, you'll mess the ball bearing race inside. There it went. The bearings are on. Check it one more time that it spins free. Spins free, so now we can put the cups in. And sometimes when you're pushing these in, this inner bearing will slide out, and if it does, just put it back in, but just be careful with it. Your diff and your transmission is still going to need a break-in period. It's going to start out tight, especially with all new parts. And this washer, we're going to coat, it's not a washer, but it's a spacer. Shim, as some of them call it. And this diff fluid is thick. And like I said, I'm gonna try to fill every cavity up in this thing. Because it's gonna help you out. Once that's in, you can go ahead and slide your pins in, line them up. Nope, too hard. Now for these gears, go ahead and on this side, it's got the little cavities. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna pack it in here. Again, we'll take our little socket, push down on it. Okay, optional step. these screws that come out of here, some people put them back in, some people don't. I don't. I've had no issues leaving them out. It may be a no-no, but it's my method. And this stuff here, putting this part together, it is pretty pain in the butt, but I usually put a little that diff fluid on it and it'll stick, holding it up in a good little cross, and then get some more and just spread it on the shafts. I've seen glue that doesn't stick as good as this does. If somebody knows of a better way of doing this, please share. A lot of times when I change the diff fluid in it, I don't take this apart. I usually leave this seal gasket wrapped around it just to hold it in place. But if you hold your tongue right and cross your legs, you can start to get this to slip back in. It's just gonna have to be patient with it. And all right, well, she's in on this side, but we're going to add some fluid into here. And you can't just pour this stuff out. I mean, you may be able to put it in boiling hot water and loosen it up, but yeah, just and now I'm gonna slip this little gasket on it. I'm gonna pull this whole assembly out and try to slip it back in on this side. There we go. Now we're starting to cook with something. Give it a couple rotations to try to pull some of that diff fluid into the bottom. Now, repeat. Fill this cup up with as much of this as you can on this side. And then on this side, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna get this stuff packed in here. And it doesn't matter if you're using 500K or 1 million, you just want to get it in here. Should be about enough. That should ooze out pretty good. Now line up your bleed out caps is what I call it, and start to slide them together. And what's going to happen, this diff fluid is going to start coming out of these holes. As it comes out, you can catch it and put it back in your container. That's how you know that you're getting it full of fluid. And we will discuss a little bit about gears while we're doing this. On DDM, if you go into the I believe it's the HPI upgrade parts, and go on, click on the section about tires, and it'll come up with these gears you can get. They're lightweight, they're small, they're thin. It does reduce a little rotating weight, and you anytime you can reduce rotating weight, especially on a larger gear like this, it's going to create a little more speed for your car. You want to try to get it to tighten up as evenly as you possibly can. Remember, this is aluminum. If that gear is not flush on the aluminum, it's either going to break an ear off or you're going to crack a gear. These gears are hardened. Even the stock gears. I'm pretty sure there's a torque spec on these gears, but this is the torque that I use. Alright, well that's good. No more diff fluid came out, so I know we're tight. It will lose viscosity, and over the time, when you go to, you'll grab your hub and you'll twist it, and and when it twists real easy, it's time to change the diff fluid. If I had to do it a second time because I lost the footage, but anyhow, the part that I lost, wanted to talk about the grease that you're going to put on your gears. You have options. You have the red and tacky, or you have the what a lot of people prefer is the fast eddy dog bone and transmission grease. I'm starting to like this a little bit more, and the way that I grease it, I usually just grease this gear right here. I put an excessive amount on it. As it rotates, it will sling off. And the way that most people install this back into their transmission is with the bolts up. Alright, and you have to slip this in. Okay, and once it's together, as I rotate it, you can watch this grease start to travel. It will travel from the diff all the way up to the top gear. The reason most people prefer to put the bolts in on this side is, one, this transmission is rotating in this direction. So when you tighten these bolts up, they go in that direction, and in theory, they won't loosen up. Now, I will insert a little clip about gears, and also I will post them, in the corner, so you can see what's available. A lot of guys prefer running the Black Magic from DDM. Also, you have Detroit Performance has some gears. I think they're called Black Bone. But these stock gears are hardened. They will last in stock class. I'm not sure about open. You have options on lay shaft. You have the stock one, you also have the titanium one, and you also have a stainless steel lay shaft. I will post them all up on here so you can see it on the screen. But there's a mod that you can do to the stock one. You can cut off the E-clip and drill and tap a left-handed thread bolt, and you can order this bolt from DDM or Detroit Performance. I'll put that on the screen now to modify this. Many people are using the stock lay shaft and they're winning races with it. Going with a titanium lay shaft is not going to save you a lot of rotating weight. It will save you some weight overall, but it's not a horsepower gain versus having a heavy gear versus a light gear. That's a definite gain. But being close to the axis, your rotating weight, it's not going to make much difference. Alright, if you decide to go with the DDM Black Magic gear, you can obviously see the difference in size. Weight wise, not much. The stock gear, 75 grams. The DDM Black Magic, 47 grams. So you're looking about 27 grams, 28 grams of weight saving. But friction wise, you're saving that. However, you have to modify your diff cup. Whether it's King Motor or Rovan, this is a Rovan cup. You have to remove the material off to get this gear to go on. And also you have to remove it on this side. This is the King Motor diff. You can see that it too, you also have to remove material because this is as far as it will go. You just have to take your time, use a Dremel, and it'll work. Also, the method that I use to take it off is I'll bolt them together with a Dremel. I'll just keep working it until I feel the enough is off. Then I'll take it apart, test fit. If I need more off, I'll take more off. Just take your time and eventually it'll work. Okay, that does it for the diff build. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment below and I will try to answer it with either a comment or a follow-up video. And we'll move on to the rest of the car. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.